Well, Austin, week 1 has gone and passed, and now week 2 has gone and passed, and week 2 was just as, if not more, action-packed, more injury-riddled, and more upset-filled than week 1. And any week that I can remember in a long time. There is so much to talk about this week. It is a jam-packed episode today. We have, as always, our top 3 plays of the week. We have a recap of last week's game, a preview of next week's games, which, by the way, Austin, looking ahead to next week's games, next week's going to be crazy. And we have another special segment for you guys with a very special guest. So stay tuned for that at the end of the episode. And this is K&A Football. So, Austin, I know we now are past the week 1 overreactions. We're back into week 2. It's still very much overreaction season, but some of the things that happened in week 1 happened again in week 2, and some of it is like, okay, clearly we were overreacting in week 1. Let's take a deep breath. We all know X is true or X is not true. So, how are you feeling going into week 3 after week 2? Just about it all.
Okay, so for the most part, I would say that I feel validated, I think would be the word. Like most of the things that I was worried about and that I saw in week 1, and I was like, oh, that was crazy. What was that about? It kind of like they happened again in week 2. And I'm thinking like, okay, is this like, okay, it bled over from week 1. It's still bleeding over from the off season. Like we need to take another deep breath. We'll wait until week 3. Or is this like going to be a continual trend? You know, things like the injury bug, things like players not performing, things like teams far exceeding expectations. So I would say at the moment I feel validated, but I also feel really, really scared because I don't know what's going on and none of my predictions seem like they're going to come true for the season.
Yeah, I know week 1, we both did pretty solid for our pick'ems. We got a pretty good majority of them. This week, no. I don't even know. I don't even know if we would have gotten 50% this week. Like it was a struggle. Almost every upset that could have happened. The games that you were like, this is a lock, was not a lock. It was crazy, and that's what you want. That's what you want for the NFL, and it's way more fun than seeing the same 3 teams dominate year in and year out. I know a lot of people disagree on this, but that's why I think that the NFL is miles better than college football. It's you get a new variety for the most part. You get a variety of teams every single year that are good and bad.
No, I agree with that. I completely agree.
So, without further ado, let's jump into week 2's top 3 plays of the week. Well, this week might be top 4. And we'll get there. But our number 1 play of the week is Justin Jefferson. So they're obviously in a big game against the 49ers, both teams coming off a win. They just had a massive defensive goal line stand against the 49ers, who obviously 49ers went to the Super Bowl last year. Very heavy favorites to go back and compete for another Super Bowl this year. And the Vikings are one of those teams that people are looking like, oh, they're kind of just in it for the long haul this season. They got Sam Darnold. It's gonna be a long season for them. Well, they came back and won week 1, and here in week 2, they're playing a very good game against the 49ers. They make a big goal line stand, and they're at their own 3-yard line, and then Justin Jefferson does this.
And his impact so far on the Viking defense, 2nd down 9. Darnold getting messy, going deep, and he's got Jefferson. It's a foot race downfield with Brown. Shifting gears, getting a block. That's 6.
Here's Jefferson. He's going to go through and go deep. Outside receiver coming in and doing the.
So obviously, incredible play, 97-yard touchdown. You see those maybe once or twice a season. And to get one already at week 2, I think is awesome. To see it coming from Sam Darnold, who I know we'll talk about when we get to that game, who looks like a completely new quarterback. He threw a bomb. He threw a dot. Shout out to the ref for absolutely cooking the 49ers safety. if you go back and watch, he ran way faster than the actual players, which is incredible. But yeah, Austin, what do you think about that play?
Yeah, like you said, like it's impressive to get a play like that already in the season, and it's definitely exciting too because we'll talk about Sam Darnold once we get there, but it's exciting because Sam Darnold going into the season and everything, like the expectations are very, very low for the Vikings. It's like, okay, yeah, you don't have Kirk anymore. We're starting Sam Darnold. So to see a play like, I'm sorry, the fire alarm went off in here and I got really scared that we were going to have to like stop everything because someone opened the door wrong. But we're good. But it's just really exciting to see that kind of play and exciting to see that out of Justin Jefferson. I know fantasy managers everywhere are kind of breathing a sigh of relief on that one, knowing that Jefferson he's not going to take a huge step back just because he has Darnold as his quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for the next two plays, we're going to call it 2A and 2B. It is a pair of plays, but they came very quickly together. Week 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. was talked about as crap. This guy, no one was calling him a bust. That's ridiculous. But people had talked this guy up like he is the generational wide receiver, and he's going to be like the greatest rookie receiver we've ever seen. In Week 1, he had 1 catch for 4 yards, and people were really like, yikes. Like, you got to get him the ball. They talked to Kyler Murray this week, and he said, it's not my job to get him the ball. I just throw to like the players, which, I mean, that most definitely is his job. But with all that aside, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. shut up all the haters. And on the very first drive of the game, Marvin Harrison Jr. had the first play. And then the very next drive, he had the second play. So, Debbie can roll the clip.
Around, now they got him in the slot. Murray's looking for him. Pressure coming. Got away.
This is not the right play. It's okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, sweet.
4 wins each of the last 2 years.
Saved
Obviously,
it.
Murray was hurt for the first half last season. Back to Donald. Launches. End zone. Harrison. Caught! First NFL. Murray's looking for him. Pressure
It's actually,
coming. Got away
Debbie.
from Verse.
If you go back to the other clip, it's a long clip, and if you skip like 10 seconds in that video, the next one is then his other touchdown. Sorry about that, Debbie.
A little too much air under that football, but let's see.
Fake to Connor. Murray on the rollout. Looking deep for Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the end zone. Touchdown again.
We'll watch him all the way across the field. He's trying to.
Yeah, so obviously 2 incredible plays from Marvin Harrison. Really opened up that game just from the start. The Cardinals, I mean, we'll get there, but they destroyed the Rams, and it wasn't even a contest from the start. Marvin Harrison made sure that game was over right away, really shutting up all of the critics from Week 1 and showing what we all expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to be for his whole career. And doing this in a second game is scary.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, like you said, this is the player that we thought he was going to be, making an absolute impact on the field. He's obviously the wide receiver 1 on this team. Only critique I would have for these plays is very poor discipline by Marvin Harrison Jr. to reach for the end zone on that last touchdown that we saw. Should have just gone down with the ball. I understand the temptation to go for the touchdown, but the risk of fumbling that far out is way too great. But other than that, great touchdowns. This is exactly what we like to see.
Hey, it worked out for him. Got the touchdown. But
We did.
yeah. And then our third and final play, we saw a little bit of sneak peek of it. Yes, it is from the same exact game, I know. But this was just such an amazing play. You got Kyler Murray. It's kind of already a blowout at this point, but starters are still playing. It's still very much a game. It's still the first half. And he makes a play that we've seen Kyler Murray make a lot of times. It was a play that Caleb Williams made a lot when he was in college. It's a play that Mahomes will make sometimes. He's scrambling around, just making everyone miss. He makes the same dude dive for him and miss and land on the ground, and then get up and dive for him again and miss and land on the ground twice in the same play. And then he goes and he fires an absolute dot to the back of the end zone. And before the guy even catches the ball, if you go back and watch a different angle of the play, Kyler Murray does kind of like the Stephen Curry, and before he even catches the ball, Kyler Murray turns around and starts walking off the field, which is so cold.
So cold.
I think that is so
cold,
awesome. Like maximum aura right there for Kyler Murray. But you can go ahead and roll the clip, Debbie.
Junior around, now they got him in the slot.
Murray's looking for him. Pressure coming. Got away from Verse. Still on the move. Still on his feet. Throws to the end zone. It is caught by Elijah Higgins for the touchdown. Magic from Murray.
I think that was one of the most fun plays, and the fact that he ran away as he before he caught it, that just makes that like one of the coolest plays. Like I don't know, and it's not like it was a wide open dude and he knew it. He had to fit that in a very small and tight window. So
yeah, I mean, if you're the Rams defense, it's like you can't even really be that upset about it. The only thing you can be upset about is that you didn't get Kyler Murray, because like you said, it's not like when quarterbacks scramble that long, it's like someone is going to end up open.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it is. When the coverages are going to break, people are just going to start running their own routes. But the Rams defense, like they held really, really well. Like they still had him contained back there, and he had to actually fit that pass in. Like it was good defense all around from the Rams. It was just a better play by Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray is looking amazing so far this season.
He is.
So that was this week's top 3 plays of the week, and now we're going to jump into the recap of all of the games. But before we do that, make sure you don't leave the pod, of course. Do this after the pod. But then you can go ahead and give our friends at K&F Construction a look. K&F Construction has been serving the Northeast Ohio community for over 16 years, specializing in composite decks. K&F Construction takes the time and effort to provide the service and product that you deserve for your home. You can call K&F Construction today at 330-575-2465 for a free estimate. Again, that's 330-575-2465. And you can also visit kfdex.com, which is linked in the description below. K&F Construction, let us build your dream backyard. So, Austin, we're going to jump into the Week 2 scores and recaps of the games. Like we said, there was a lot of upsets in this game. This first game, I actually, thinking about what the odds makers had, this might have gone down as an upset. I correctly picked this one. Austin, unfortunately, you didn't. But Bills Dolphins played on Thursday night. Bills destroyed them. They blew them out from the start. But that wasn't the main story of this game. Austin, do you want to talk about kind of this game?
Yeah, so, I mean, like we can see here, absolute blowout, Bills 31, Dolphins 10. But, like you said, that's not the story here. The real story is the fact that Tua went ahead and got another concussion. Somewhat ironically, I think, in my opinion. He was tackled by Damar Hamlin. Tua hit Damar Hamlin. Like Tua hit him with his head, and he hit Damar Hamlin straight in the chest. So it's really a question of which one of them is going to go down. And unfortunately, it was Tua. Not that we're playing on the downfall of Damar Hamlin. But if you remember, Tua has been struggling with concussions for like his entire time in the NFL. Very early on, we remember 2 years ago, I think now it was, he had one decently bad concussion. He hits his head on the turf. You're like, whoa, okay, all right, Tua, that's okay. Everyone gets concussions sometimes. And then just a little bit later, he got another concussion. And if you remember, that's the one where he went and had like the convulsions on the field. We all saw that one. And it was very, very scary. And then he gets this one here, and it's like he's out for, I think, the next 8 weeks, or at least until week 8. He's supposed to be out with this concussion. And, you know, people around the league, former players, commentators, whatever else, they're saying, you know, Tua, it's not worth it, man. You just got to retire, whatever. So that's really the big story surrounding this game. It's not necessarily that the Bills won, but the fact that Tua is going to be out for a long period of time. And the real question is, like, how, he's not supposed to return until at least week 8, instead of he pulled up there. So the real question is whether Tua is ever going to play again. He's saying that he is. I don't think it's fair for other players and coaches and commentators to be calling for him to retire. That's not fair to him. He's worked his entire life to get here. It's his life. I mean, I don't think that it's worth it. The brain damage that he's going to sustain is very heavy, but he's worked his entire life to get to this point, and it's not fair to tell him what he should do with his NFL career.
Of course. I mean, me and you, obviously, we can't relate. I said can't. It sounded like I said can. We definitely cannot relate to his situation. Like, we haven't had these injuries. We haven't worked our entire life to get to the NFL. So I can't say what he should do. I think it's not worth it as well. I think that he has a wife. He has 2 kids. I think that if they want to have their father around with some resemblance of a brain, I think it's smart to quit right now when you still have functioning brain and functioning movement in all your extremities. He's already going to have some type of, I would assume, some type of little bit of neurological brain stuff by the time he's up in his 40s or 50s. Like, it has to have affected him already. But I think if he continues, that just extends the risk. Obviously, his decision ultimately, we don't know exactly what he's thinking, but yeah. But before he did get injured, Bills did dominate this game. Bills look very good. People were really down on the Bills this year after losing a lot of their offense, a majority of their defense, but they look phenomenal. Josh Allen didn't have to do much in this game. Bills look really good. Unfortunately, it just got overshadowed by Tua.
Yeah. So, obviously, prayers for him and his recovery and his decision for the future there. The next game that we have here, I scrolled right by it, is the Saints and Cowboys. Man, oh man, Kadin, what on earth do we make of this? Obviously, last week, Saints blow out the Panthers. But you're like, okay, fine. It's the Panthers. Of course they're going to blow out the Panthers. What are they going to do against a real team like Dallas? Yeah, we'll see what they do then. Well, it turns out they blow them out 44-19. That's what they do then. Ridiculous. Like, I don't know what to make of them. They are not supposed to be this good on paper. I mean, Alvin Kamara obviously had his one game a year where he dominates everyone and just scores anything he wants, and he runs all over the place. Derek Carr had a decent game on his end too.
About one game a year where he goes
one
crazy.
game a year, man. One game a year. This was it. He met his quota. Derek Carr Derek Carr looks like a brand new person. Like, honestly, what Las Vegas does to people needs to be studied. That's what we need to be talking about here.
Derek Carr looks like an MVP candidate right now. Absolutely.
Just like everyone predicted. So the real question for me is, like, I'm not too worried about the Cowboys. You know, I'm not. The real question for me is, what do we make of the Saints moving forward, Kadin?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's easy to think, oh, week 1, they played the Panthers, they should blow them out. But nobody was expecting this week 2. They honestly looked better week 2 against Dallas than they did week 1 against the Panthers, which is incredible. This Derek Carr, in his 15 drives this season, has led a scoring drive in all 15 of his drives, whether that be a touchdown or a field goal. Now, they've taken him out at the end of the Panthers game because they were killing him so much. And then they took him out at the end of the Cowboys game because they were killing him so much. If 15 drives to start a season is incredible against the Cowboys defense, who there are no slouches. I mean, Alvin Kamara is playing great. Chris Olave isn't even dominating the receiver room. Rashid Shaheed has caught 2 incredible deep ball touchdowns. He's getting a lot of targets and a lot of catches. Chris Olave is still there. He's still an elite receiver, don't get me wrong. And their defense is so good. It's Ohio State, like the Ohio State alumni team pretty much. But the Saints are, as much as it pains me to say, the Saints are a very scary team right now. And we'll see if they can keep up the firepower. We'll see if this stretch continues because they have a very tough schedule up until about week 6. So we'll see what they're really made of these next couple weeks. But props to Dennis Allen and the Saints. They had a lot of heat coming into the season. A lot of people were like, just start Spencer Rattler. Like, what are we even doing? Our season's going to be just a wash. They look like one of the scariest teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, like we said, the question moving forward is, what do we do about the Saints? And I don't think anyone's worried about the Cowboys yet. Because obviously they played the Browns last week and looked great. So moving forward, they just need to kind of get that together. But I'm not too worried about them yet.
Yeah, me too.
All right, next game we have here is the Buccaneers and Lions. This game was in Detroit. Really, really tough fought game. Kadin, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Kind of like Derek Carr. I mean, people expected good out of Baker Mayfield like we saw last season, but Baker Mayfield is playing like an MVP candidate right now, just like Derek Carr. I don't know what it is, but the NFC South, minus the Panthers, of course, is looking like a very good division right now. Baker Mayfield is doing exactly what he needs to do. Baker Mayfield made a play in this game. He made a linebacker or a safety. Somebody on the Lions look silly. Like he got juked out of his shoes by Baker Mayfield. Their defense holding the Lions to 16 points. Incredible work. And Jared Goff on the other side of the football. People need to start having conversations about him because his whole thing has always been he dominates in domes. He dominates when he's not under pressure. He's a great indoor quarterback. Both of his games have been indoors at home against the Rams defense, which is not a good defense at all, one of the worst, and the Buccaneers defense, which is a pretty solid secondary, but they don't have the most strongest pass rush in the NFL. Jared Goff has not looked good either week. He played good enough to win last week, but he played terrible this week. I don't know what the big difference is. The Lions have majority of their coaching staff still there. They kept their offensive coordinator as he was getting a lot of looks to be a head coach somewhere else, but he decided to stay. A lot of it is they're not throwing to Sam Laporta, who was a massive part of their offense last year. A lot of those targets are going to Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams is doing very good with those targets. He's getting a lot. He's one of the leading receivers in the NFL right now. But for some reason, it's not translating to the same success on offense that they had last year. So I think they need to work Sam Laporta more into the offense.
Yeah, I can completely agree with everything you just said there. The only thing that I would push back on is Jared Goff played pretty much the same, if not better, than Baker Mayfield in this game. But you wouldn't know that from just watching the game. You know, like when you watch the game, you wouldn't see that he's playing better, but you see that Baker Mayfield's playing better because they obviously ended up winning and he made some great throws and some great moments. Jared Goff threw for almost twice as many yards as Baker Mayfield did, and they had pretty much the same completion percentage. The only thing that was different is Jared Goff threw one more interception than Baker did. Other than that, he played better than Baker. So really, like I think what you're saying is correct. Like they need to be working Sam Laporta way more. He has fallen off the map from last year. He was the best tight end last year, and they need to open that back up. They need to fear the underneath passes again.
Yeah. And their running game is a staple, and a lot of teams right now are just kind of keying into that running game because they don't have as much of a deep downfield threat in Sam Laporta.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the Lions yet, but I am really glad to see the Buccaneers stepping it up.
Yeah.
All right, next game. Kadin, I'll let you talk about this one. We got the Chargers and Panthers, and then I'll let you take all of it. You can take the big news. You can take the small news. You can take the game in general. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to spend any more time on this than we have to. Exactly what we thought was going to happen happened. Chargers dominated from the start, 26-3. Panthers, unlike last week, they failed to get in the end zone this week, so we're getting worse and worse as we go. J.K. Dobbins, a really good feel-good story. You know, he came out of Ohio State, went to the Ravens, had so many injuries, had torn Achilles, torn ACL. He's done everything that you can tear in your leg possible. And people were wondering if he was ever going to play a football game. Well, last week, week 1, he played a great game. And now in week 2, he broke off a 50-yard touchdown. I almost put that down as one of the clips of the week, but it wasn't the greatest run. It was kind of just like a breakaway run against the Panthers. But J.K. Dobbins looks great. The Chargers defense looks great. Jim Harbaugh is doing exactly what Jim Harbaugh said he was going to do. He's running the ball. He's playing good defense. I think this is honestly, this is better at this moment for Herbert because he doesn't have too many receivers of note. And so he's throwing the ball when he has to, but he's really just relying on this run game. And Herbert is playing very good football. He's not making mistakes. His O-line's holding up great in the run game and the pass game. But one of the biggest stories that came out of this game, obviously the Panthers really struggled in this game. Bryce Young really struggled for the second straight game. And Bryce Young got benched. Andy Dalton is now the starter for the foreseeable future, at least for the next couple of weeks. I think this was the right decision. Bryce Young's confidence is gone. Like, he looks like one of the most depressed players out there. Like, zoomed in on his face after an interception, he was like, it was very, I'm not going to replicate it, I can't, but it was a very sad, it's very sad watching him play. And truly, I don't believe it's all his fault. The Panthers have set him up so terribly for the start of his career. And I'm laughing because Austin just said in our little chat that Debbie needs to clip that and screenshot that and make that a reel. Debbie, you will not be doing that. But he's been set up terribly. He has one of the worst situations. I'm totally aware. I'm not giving Bryce an excuse and a pass saying he needs to be better. He's been given the worst situation. He is playing terrible because of this. Look at Baker Mayfield. When he was in Carolina, he was terrible. Mm-hmm. Now he looks amazing in Tampa Bay. Look at Sam Darnold. He was terrible in Carolina. Now he's amazing in Minnesota. So that's just how it's going to be. I think they're going to sit Bryce for a while, try to get some confidence back for him, and then he'll come back eventually. Maybe leave the Panthers and be just a dog somewhere else. But in honor of losing the fallen soldier today, I did wear my Bryce Young shirt. But yeah, hoping Andy Dalton can have some spark to the offense, but it's really sad overall.
Yeah. All right, that's enough time on that game. That is too much time to spend on the Panthers. We will be spending a total of 5 minutes for the next, I don't know, however many weeks we have left. 16.
No, 5
All right,
minutes
next game. Well, combined. Next game is Colts and Packers. Packers wound up winning this game 16-10. I think it's one of the bigger storylines coming out of this game is the fact that Malik Willis actually played really, really well. No one really anticipated that. For me specifically, like, I picked the Colts in this game solely because I thought that Malik Willis was not going to be able to sustain the pressure. He was not going to be that guy, and the Packers were going to struggle until Jordan Love gets back. And then obviously the other storyline being that Anthony Richardson had an up and down game. He threw for over 200 yards. He had a touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions and only completed half his passes. So Anthony Richardson is a really up and down player. Kadin, what'd you take away from this game?
Yeah, I think Anthony Richardson's stat line is a little bit misleading because a lot of those yards came in the final 2 drives of the game when Packers were not really lighting up on defense, but all of a sudden the Colts were able to move, which was good for the Colts. I mean, those dudes do matter, but for 3/4 of that game, Anthony Richardson looked terrible. He threw 3 interceptions. He couldn't run. If I could pull up his stat line I have the box score pulled up here. Anthony Richardson, we obviously know his strength is running the football. It's not passing. He's not a great passer. Like, what makes him such a dynamic player is he can run. He had, I think, 2 scrambles on the last drive. So if you get rid of those, he had 2 carries in this game. I know you want your quarterback to run all the time and take so many hits, but 2 carries for Anthony Richardson when you're such a bad passer, and the skill, the trait that makes you a good quarterback is your ability to run. When you take that out and only can run the ball twice, you're gonna struggle. This is not a surprise for me at all. If you're forcing Richardson to pass, I'm not surprised the Colts only put up 10 points. Richardson is not a pocket passing quarterback, and that's how he tried to play this game, and we saw the results on the field.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously the big storyline moving forward from here is, what do the Colts do to help Anthony Richardson? What schemes do they pull up? And then is Malik Willis able to continue from this game moving forward until Jordan Love is able to come back? And does this help Jordan Love recover all the way now that the Packers know that they don't need him? They don't need him back right now in order for them to win games.
Right. I think that Malik Willis did play very good in this game. And I think that the Packers staff, I would assume. And definitely Packers fans
that.
should be very thankful and very pleased that, okay, if Jordan Love does miss a little bit longer than we had expected, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. All right, the next game we have here is the Jets and Titans. Jets wound up winning this game 24-17. Aaron Rodgers had an okay day. He threw for 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Overall, decent day for the Jets offense. I think we should have had a 5th play of the week.
I thought about it.
And really, maybe we should just make an entire other section called "What did Will Levis do this week?" And because if you remember last week, he had that stupid interception against the Bears where he should have just thrown it away, taken a sack, anything. But instead, going down to the ground, he decides to just let one go right into the Bears defender's arms, take it back for a pick 6. And then this week, he thinks that he's
on his knees and watches.
Yeah, what? How did I? What? And then this week, he goes ahead and makes an absolutely idiotic play. Like, I honestly don't know how you make this. How do you make it to the NFL and then make these kind of plays back to back? He's literally in the air. All of him is in the air. I'm not talking jumping. I'm talking like bearskin rug in the air, completely horizontal with the ground, and thinks that he's Patrick Mahomes or Superman or a magic carpet or something. And he just like lets it go, lets that ball go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, when you let it go backwards, that's a fumble. And it gets recovered by the Jets. Absolutely idiotic play by Will Levis. If he continues doing things like that, he will find himself in a Walmart and or rejected by Walmart so quick.
Yeah. That's something that you see in... No, that's not even something you see in like a peewee game. You learn that from the start. You can't throw the ball backwards, especially when you're horizontal to the ground. And it wasn't just a random play. That was a 3rd down in the red zone. Yes. They had 3 points in their back pocket. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Here we go.
Thank you, Debbie. So you see he's going in the air, lets it go backwards. Jets recover that fumble. Stupid. They're up 7. Like, if you just hang on, that's a 3rd down. If you just hang on to it, you even take the sack there, you go up 10. And that's huge. Like, that's momentum right there. You could see the Titans head coach being like, what are you doing? How do you make that play? It is absolutely idiotic. Hopefully he does it again and we can make another. Yeah, look at that.
We'll say this right now. If he makes another play like this on Sunday, we won't say anything about it. We'll just start next episode. We'll do our top plays of the week, and then we will have a bonus segment, and we'll say the Will Levis play of the week.
What did Will Levis do this week?
Yeah, what did Will do? But I remember I was sitting on the couch. I was kind of like, holy crap, the Panthers are terrible. Like, I was kind of just watching the TV, and I saw that, and I started audibly laughing, and I was like, there is no way I just watched that play happen. But
all right, next game, we need to keep moving here. We have the 49ers and Vikings. I myself counted the Vikings out of this game. Like, in all honesty, the 49ers played really well last week, even with the absence of Christian McCaffrey. He's not playing this week. I think they said he's going to be out until week 6 is like his projected return date. So that's huge news. But I counted the Vikings completely out of this game. Like, of course the 49ers are going to win. What do you mean? They're probably the best team in football. And then the Vikings were like, except no, because turns out Sam Darnold is that guy. And we just didn't know it yet. And Justin Jefferson is, of course, still that guy. And we're just as fine with Sam Darnold as we were with Kirk Cousins. Kadin.
Yeah, Sam Darnold does look like that guy. Like we were talking about, completely revamped his career since he's left Carolina. Maybe it had a little something to do with being under that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree a little bit last season as a backup. Now he's with Kevin O'Connell, another great coach, and they look good. They're kind of, beating the 49ers is not something to sleep on. That is a dominant team. They look very good. There's not really much to say about it. Justin Jefferson left this game with an injury, but he's going to be okay. Yep. He should play on Sunday. What isn't okay is on the 49ers side of things, Christian McCaffrey has now been put on IR. He again didn't play in this game, and they're putting him on IR now with Achilles tendonitis. And Deebo Samuel got hurt in this game, and now he's going to be missing a couple weeks. Brock Purdy does not look like Brock Purdy when he doesn't have all 6 of his Hall of Fame superstars around him. Now he's going to be missing McCaffrey and Deebo.
I mean, we'll see. He did throw for over 300 yards with nearly an 80% completion rate this week.
He didn't look like the normal Brock Purdy. Like,
we'll see how he does on Sunday without Deebo.
Right, but you can look at the box scores and see, okay, he threw for a lot of yards. But if you watch the game, you're not like, oh, they're moving the ball down the field with ease like the normal 49ers that we see. He was throwing a lot of balls that should have been intercepted or were intercepted. So it's going to be interesting to see how the 49ers fare.
Yeah, we'll see how he does this coming Sunday with Deebo and Christian McCaffrey gone. All right, next game we have the Seahawks and Patriots. You can talk about this one, Kadin, because I didn't see too much of it, but I will say I am more than surprised with how the Patriots have been doing this season.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The Patriots, I had them at 2 wins. You had them at like 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. They already got one week 1 against the Bengals, and we're like, okay, well, the Bengals always start kind of slow. Well, I'm not very high on the Seahawks this season, but I was still expecting the Seahawks to handle business very easily, blow them out of this game. This game went to overtime. Patriots had them beat for a majority of this game. It was like, wow, this is a very shocking game. Went to overtime. Seahawks won off of a game-winning field goal. I mean, the Seahawks played great in this game. The Patriots played great in this game. Jackson Smith-Njigba kind of had a little bit of a breakout game. He had phenomenal game. He had so many receptions. Oh, I don't know the number off the top of my head. Box score. The whole Seahawks offense had a great game. DK Metcalf had over 125 yards and a touchdown. Geno Smith threw for 327 yards, so kind of a vintage Geno Smith game. Mm-hmm. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 12 receptions for 117 yards. That is exactly what the Seahawks wanted to see from him coming out of college, and he played phenomenal in this game. But on the other side of things, I don't know how the Patriots are doing this. Jacoby Brissett had 149 passing yards. So, I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, it's not good by any means. But he had 149 passing yards. Hunter Henry had 109 receiving yards. So that means there was only 40 passing yards that didn't go to Hunter Henry. I don't know how they were able to. It's impressive. Maybe Gerard Mayo, their new head coach, is just a dog. Like,
he must be. To turn this
Patriots
team into anything, coach of the year candidate right there if they keep winning games.
They're competing in games with this team. It's very impressive.
It's impressive. All right. Moving on, the next game we have here is the Giants and Commanders. Commanders won this game 21-18. Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones. We all knew this. But Jaden Daniels looks good.
Yeah. I love it. I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan, I think. But the biggest storyline in this game, I think, is Malik Neighbors. He played so good in this game. He is being force-fed the ball, which if you're a Giants fan, I think that's exactly what you want. He had 10 receptions in this game for 127 yards and a touch. He did have a key drop. Probably, like, in all honesty, the reason they lost was this drop. If he catches this ball, they probably win the game. But you can't fault the guy. One, he's a rookie. And two, he had literally done everything for your offense that entire game. What hurt the Giants was their kicker got hurt in this game. If he didn't get hurt, they'd have kicked a field goal instead of going for it on that 4th down, and probably could have been a different story. But, yeah, it is funny. The Giants are the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns. The Giants themselves scored 3 touchdowns. Commanders did not score a single touchdown, and the Giants lost in regulation. It was all field goals for Washington. So Daniel Jones and the Giants, they're going to find new ways to lose every week. So we're just going to keep gearing it up for that Panthers-Giants game in Germany. I can't wait.
Oh, it's an act of war. All right, next game we have is the Browns and Jaguars.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I barely saw any of this game. Red Zone was not showing it. Didn't look like there was much going on, so I'm gonna give this one strictly to you.
Yeah, so this game, great. I mean, the Browns won, so you can't ask for too much more than that. Obviously, great. Deshaun Watson played the best that he has played since getting injured in Houston. Like, he played really, really well this game. He was throwing the ball well. He was putting the team on his back and actually running. I was like, whoa, this is why we brought him here. Now, that does not mean that the Browns did not try to absolutely Browns this game and try to blow a 13-point lead and lose this thing at the end of the game. But turns out our defense could go ahead and put us on their back and absolutely will us to victory. The Jaguars are still the Jaguars, just in case anyone is confused, like, oh, maybe the Jaguars are good now. Remember how they were like good a couple years ago? Maybe they're still that. They're not. They're bad again. They're the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence played okay in this game, but really not that great. I think for me, the biggest storyline in this game is how well Deshaun Watson played. You'll remember my Hail Mary last week was that Deshaun Watson will never return to form. And I think that is still accurate.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think the reason that he played well, and I think that maybe this is me being cynical, there was the lawsuit that came out against him last week after the game. And then it came out just before the game that the Browns over the offseason had worked into his contract when they restructured when he would get paid, that if Deshaun Watson was suspended by the league again, that the Browns could choose to not pay him his guaranteed money. Like, basically, we could not pay him anything. We could let him go. It would have been great. I think Deshaun Watson knows this. Obviously, he knows that this is in his contract, and this lawsuit comes out, and he's like, shoot, I have to start playing well again if I want to keep my money. And so here he is playing well again, all because he knows that if this lawsuit goes anywhere, he could lose all of his money. So hopefully this lawsuit sticks around for a while and or he gets suspended, so that way he knows that he has to continue playing well and we can hang on to him.
That's a pretty funny theory.
Dude, I think that it's the accurate one. Let's be so for real. He's been playing like absolute trash for years ever since he got this guaranteed money. All of a sudden, his money's in jeopardy and he starts playing well.
Yeah. Fair.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at Trevor Lawrence's game log? Oh, no, we're looking at Deshaun's. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play great. He only threw for 186 yards.
You look at the box score and you're like, oh, he didn't play that great. But if you actually watch the game, you'll see that he was making plays with his feet again. When plays mattered, he was making insane throws that we have not seen from him in years. And in short yardage situations, he was willing to put his body on the line and get first downs and touchdowns.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, he won the game. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. All right. Next game we have here is the Raiders and Ravens. And boy, oh boy, nobody saw this one coming. I mean, I for sure didn't. I thought that the Ravens were going to absolutely destroy the Raiders in this game. But Raiders surprised absolutely everyone by coming to the Ravens and beating them 26-23. Now, I did not get to catch much of this game, so I'll turn it over to you, Kadin.
Yeah. The Ravens dominated this game from start to not what's a little more than 3/4. We'll say 3.5/4. There's definitely, hold on, my brain's not working, but they dominated this game from start to 5-6. There we go. I don't really know how they lost this game. All of a sudden, Gardner Minshew and the Raiders just started slowly but surely cooking down the field. Davante Adams making incredible catch after incredible catch. Brock Bowers, phenomenal rookie tight end. Oh my goodness, he is so good. All of a sudden, the Raiders have a chance to go down and take the lead, and Davante Adams, great play. Raiders have the lead. And I'm like, the Ravens were just literally up. Like it was such a, like, it wasn't like a, oh, here comes a comeback. It was all of a sudden, it was just look at the TV and the Raiders are winning this game. Like, it was not like a choke job. I mean, it was, but it wasn't, it was a very strange game. But I will say Max Crosby, I'm a very big fan after what I saw in this game. Gardner Minshew threw an interception in this game. He came off the field. You know, most quarterbacks, if they throw an interception, probably be a little upset, down in the dumps, head down. But as Gardner Minshew's coming off the field, I don't know if you saw it, Max Crosby went up to him and, like, grabbed him, got in his face, and was like, hey. And he, like, hit him like a encouragement. He's like, keep your head up. And he's like, we got you. It's not going to matter. He's like, you're fine. Keep your head up, blah, blah, blah. That's great. That's what you want to see out of anybody on your team, but especially a leader like Max Crosby saying to a quarterback who was struggling in the up until that point in the game. So the Ravens, I'm not concerned yet. I think that they're still a great team. Yeah, I mean, it's 2, but I think that they'll be fine. Yeah, I think that they'll be fine. If they keep losing, that's when I'll start being concerned. But again, that's the thing about the beginning of the season. It's week 2. Yes, it's not as much overreaction of week 1, but it's still a little bit overreacting the season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next game that we have is the Rams and Cardinals. We touched on this game a little bit at the beginning with our plays. The Cardinals destroyed the Rams 41-10. I mean, this is not what we thought at the beginning of the season. Like, Kadin and I were higher on the Cardinals than pretty much everyone else. Like, we will toot our horn on that one.
There's not another person in the world who was higher on the Cardinals than Austin and I. Let us make that known on the podcast. Just
we were the first. Just everyone remember who put you on. It was K&A Football. But not even we would have predicted that they would blow up the Rams 41-10. Kyler Murray looks great. Like, could not have asked for a better game from Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr., they decided to know how to use him. James Conner looks like he's back on the Steelers just after Le'Veon Bell left. Like, overall, they look like a great team. Rams couldn't really put it together this week. Again, like with all of these great teams that have been losing this week, I'm not concerned about them yet. It's a game. It's fine. You lost to an in-division opponent. Things like this happen when you're playing in-division. Keep your head up and move to the next game.
I actually am concerned with the Rams. I think.
Are you?
Yeah, they have so many injuries. They lost Cooper Kupp in this game. They already have no Puka. Their defense is abysmal, and their offensive line is now injured so much too. I'm very concerned for the Rams. I think they have a very tough game next week against the 49ers, who we know they've struggled with. So I think that they could easily drop to 0-3, and then they play Chicago, another very good defense. Like, they're gonna struggle these next couple weeks. The Cardinals don't have a good defense. Like, let me make that clear. And they only put up 10 points, and that was with Cooper Kupp playing a fair amount of the game. He played about a quarter and a half, but it's a little bit concerning. I'm very concerned for the Rams. If I'm a Rams fan, I'm panicking right now. I'm hitting the panic button. But I mean, Matthew Stafford's not getting any younger. Yeah, you have Sean McVay, you have young skill possession players, but they're all getting injured left and right. I mean, it's the same situation we saw 2 seasons ago. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Rams medical staff and team around them, but they got to work on their doctors there because they're not working. But on the flip side, the Cardinals are my favorite team to watch right now. They are so much fun. They score so many points. They shouldn't have a good defense, so it should be a lot of complete lies. So we have a fan in here claiming to be the biggest Cardinals fan in the world, but we all know the truth. Austin and I are the ones who are the biggest, not the biggest Cardinals fans, but we are the highest on the Cardinals, of course. But the Cardinals are a very fun team to watch. Like, me and my girlfriend are looking at going to a Panthers-Cardinals game in December. Yes, I know the Panthers are going to lose by like 80, but that's going to be such a fun game.
May as well. Tickets are going to be cheap. All right, the next game we have here are the Steelers and Broncos. Shoot, man. Like, first off, what happened to Bo Nix? What happened to Sean Payton? Second off, is the Steelers defense really going to will them to a winning record? Is that what's going to happen? Like, the Steelers defense is going to win in spite of the rest of the team. TJ Watt is single-handedly going to throw the entire team on his back, and he's going to ride this tricycle to victory.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Steelers defense is one of, if not the best defense in the NFL. Granted, they did play the Broncos, but
Yes.
they look so good. Unfortunately, they did score a touchdown in this game, so they couldn't win off of just field goals, but they almost could have. I mean, they had what? 2 field goals. So it would have been 6-6 without their. Yes, it would have been 6-6 without their touchdown. So it was close, but I think they could have done it. I think they could have just tried to kick another field goal, but their offense doesn't look good by any means. But Justin Fields isn't making mistakes, but their defense is really good. It's really fun to watch.
And really, that's all you need. You really, and I said it last week, and I'll say it again. This is their entire strategy. Don't let your quarterback make you lose, and just let the defense do their job. Go down, score field goals, put up 3, put up 7 if you have to, but put up 3. Let the defense do what they have to do, and that's the entire strategy. Which is why they should stick with Justin Fields, because I really do believe that if they put Russell Wilson in there, he will start making mistakes and try to be the superhero. Justin Fields knows that coming out of Chicago, he needs to rebuild his repertoire. He has to show everyone that it wasn't his fault; it was Chicago's fault. He just needs to play well so he can get a contract for next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next game we have here is the Bengals and Chiefs. Now, everyone is mildly upset about this game. Chiefs ended up winning 26-25, and this was not off of, let it be known, this is not off of a controversial pass interference call. But that's what people are saying, is that because the Chiefs couldn't convert on 3rd down, they were going to have to get rid of the ball, but instead there's this pass interference call, and the Chiefs are able to go down and score one more time to win the game. That's why they won. This is, of course, not why they won. You don't win off of one call, but everyone's upset about it.
Yeah, it was the right call. In the moment, I too was like, there is no way they just called that. There is no way they're giving this to the Chiefs. And then they showed the replay, and it was like, okay, I guess it was pass interference. But Jamar Chase, really struggling so far this season. It looks like a player who hasn't been to training camp, a player who didn't practice, a player who needs to practice, and a player who needs to shut up about his money, stop being a little baby, and play football. He's mad he's not getting targets. He's mad he's not getting money, and he's letting his emotions get the best of him. He had a very costly, ridiculous penalty. Yeah, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in this play. He was losing his mind. It just looked like a player who was mad, and he's letting his emotions get the best of him. And I think that's also making it easier to guard him, because he's so just everywhere and flustered, and he needs to calm down and beat Jamar Chase, and the Bengals will be fine.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm not worried about the Bengals yet. They do this every year, and people need to remember this. The Bengals lose their first couple of games, and they find their stride, and they pick it up. We need to remember that this is what happens. But like you said, Jamar Chase just really needs to just put his head down and play football, because and he knows this. That's why he's upset. That's why he's lashing out when he doesn't need to, because he understands that if he doesn't play well this season, he's not getting the money that he is worth. So his options are play well this season or just stop playing, quit while you're ahead. And he's already committed to playing, so he needs to just start playing better football.
Yeah.
And also, out of this game, Isaiah Pacheco, he fractured his leg. So he's out for probably the rest of the year, unless the Chiefs were to make a deep playoff run, Andy Reid said. But he's probably out.
Which is probably pretty likely.
Probably pretty likely. The Chiefs worked out and signed Kareem Hunt, so he is back in Kansas City after a long time coming. And now the real question is, who are the Chiefs going to start at running back? No one actually knows, so don't try to pick up their second string running back for fantasy, because it literally could be any one of them. All right, next game here. We have the Bears and Texans, they played on Sunday night. The Texans ended up winning this one 19-13. Kadin, someone needs to tell Caleb Williams that he is no longer in college. It's like someone needs to sit him down in a chair and say, "Hey, Caleb,
Okay.
we understand that you're good, and we understand that you look fantastic when you're evading pressure in the pocket. But please, for the love of football, stop heaving the ball downfield as soon as you evade pressure. It will not work here. It will get intercepted."
But I agree. But in his defense, he is under pressure like nobody I've ever seen. The Bears' offensive line is setting him up for so much failure. It's
true.
not even funny. It's kind of what I'm getting out of this whole week is just coaching matters, and situations and organizations matter so much. The Panthers organization, they're terrible. They've had horrible situations, they've had horrible teams, and then those players leave and they're good somewhere else. Chicago, that's another example. You got teams that just are always going to have a bad, like, it's so hard to change a whole culture around so fast unless you have a brand new owner. Like, ownership and coaching and styles are so important, and I'm a little bit scared for Caleb Williams that since he went to Chicago, he's gonna just have this miserable start to his career. And right now, I know it's only been 2 weeks, so it's not overreact, but his offensive line's terrible. They're not helping him out at all. The Bears' defense, phenomenal. The Bears' defense is one of the best in the league, and we saw that again in this game. But their offense is so concerning, for sure.
Yeah. And again, like, I understand what you're saying. He is under a lot of pressure on every single play, but he's not doing himself any favors by getting outside the pocket and then just heaving one into triple coverage.
No, he is not
helping. He needs to either tuck the ball, run up the sideline and step out of bounds before he gets hit, or just throw that ball away. Like, he needs to be doing himself favors. Do what the Steelers are doing. Do what you have to on offense. Don't make dumb decisions. And your defense is literally insane for no reason. Let them do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not playing against chemistry majors who are 20 years old trying to figure out what they're going to do next in life. You're playing against somebody who has a wife and 3 kids at home. So you're not – it's a lot harder to play in the NFL than it is in college. You're not playing against the same,
Yep. All right, and then the last game of the week, we have the Falcons and Eagles. This was a fantastic game. The Falcons ended up winning this one 22-21 off of an insane 40-second, 70-yard drive. Kirk Thuggins came back for those entire 40 seconds, and that was all the Falcons needed to win that game. Obviously, there were other factors leading up to that, like Saquon's drops, things like that. But overall, really, really fun game to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think most of this game, especially the beginning of the game, was very boring. I think the ending of this game, the final quarter, definitely overshadowed the game and made it exciting. Mm-hmm. But majority of the game was kind of boring. But Nick Sirianni trying to outsmart everybody and ends up being outsmarted himself. I can't stand Nick Sirianni. I think he's one of the most unlikable coaches in the NFL. Instead of just running the ball, even if you get stuffed, you kick a field goal, and then you're up by 6, and there's like 30 seconds left for Atlanta. Instead, he tried to outsmart everybody, throws a pass. Now, Saquon should have caught the pass, yes, but Saquon drops it, stops the clock, gives Atlanta an entire extra 40 seconds added to whatever they were going to have. They obviously go down. The Eagles defense just plays like Swiss cheese with holes everywhere. I can't believe how easy the Falcons just went down the field.
Defense on the 70 yards. Like, I get it. Don't give up the big play, but also don't give up 30-yard chunks. Like, they're going to get there in 4 plays, which is exactly what they did.
Is this the drop? Oh, this is the...
This might be leading up to the drop here.
Oh, here's the drop here. I mean, yes, if Saquon catches that first down, game over. But
there's no reason that you should be throwing that ball. You're 3 yards out. Like, best case scenario, you rush for 3 yards and get the first down. Worst case scenario, the clock runs for an extra 40 seconds, and you leave the Falcons with only 40 seconds worth of game instead of a minute 40. So, I mean, he's pulling a Kevin Stefanski here, where you need to make the smart play instead of being like, oh, I'm the smartest that's ever lived. We're gonna throw the ball off of a play action to the flat, and like, was it supposed to work? Yeah, but just make the smart play.
Yeah, I think that Nick Sirianni is holding this Eagles team back for sure.
Yes, tush push is back, by the way. It actually worked this week.
It did. It was very much back, which is surprising.
Yep. Then the memes go crazy that when Jalen Hurts can't tush push for 80 yards, it can't do anything. But obviously that's not the case. He is a good quarterback. All right. That wraps it up for our recap. Kadin, let's fly through our picks.
Just like last week.
Just like last week, man. All right. I need to pull my...
Yeah, I was going to say, I have mine pulled up right here. It'll take me 2 seconds.
I do not have mine right
I
here.
will say, going through these games, very good games this week. If we were doing like a pick'em show where we talk about all the games, it would probably be a longer episode because there is a lot of 2-0 versus 2-0 or like just games that I'm excited to watch. It's going to be a great week.
For sure. All right. We'll fly through this really quickly. All right, Kadin, Patriots, Jets.
Jets
for sure. I don't know. I don't know what. All right, Giants, Browns.
Browns.
I got Browns too. Panthers, Raiders.
I have the Raiders. So why did I think about that?
I have the Raiders too. I don't know why you thought about that. Packers, Titans.
I have the Packers.
I also have the Packers here. All right, so far we're pretty consistent here. All right, Bears, Colts.
I have the Bears.
I have the Colts in this one.
Okay. I think the Bears defense is enough to mess up Richardson.
I think so, but I think Caleb Williams has been making too many mistakes. Texans, Vikings.
I have the Texans. This was a really hard one.
I have the Texans too, but I am excited to see how the Vikings do in this one.
Yeah.
Eagles, Saints.
I have the Saints. I'm gonna keep rolling with them until they disappoint. They look like the best team in the NFL right now.
Dude, you're telling me I went Eagles on this one, but I cannot tell you how long I sat there thinking, but no, New Orleans has been playing so well. But I have to go with the Eagles. I don't feel good about it, but I'm going with them either way. Yeah. All right, Chargers, Steelers.
I have Chargers.
I have the Steelers in this one. I don't want to see them go 3-0, but I think that it's a real possibility. All right, Broncos, Buccaneers.
I have the Bucks.
I got the Bucks too. Dolphins, Seahawks.
I have the Seahawks.
Same. Ravens, Cowboys.
I have the Ravens. This is going to be good.
I have the Ravens as well. We're really agreeing on a lot of these. 49ers, Rams.
Niners.
I have the Niners too. Lions, Cardinals.
I'm excited for this game too. Will the Lions look better? I think the Cardinals will win.
I have the Lions in this one. Chiefs, Falcons.
I have the Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs as well. Jaguars, Bills.
I have the Bills.
I have the Bills. And then the last game of the week, Commanders and Bengals.
I got the Bengals.
I have the Bengals as well, but I think it could be close if the Bengals don't figure things out.
Mm-hmm. And those are 2 Monday night games. There's 2 Monday night games this week, which is awesome.
That is great. All right. So that does it for our recap and pick'ems. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our segment for the week.
Welcome to this week's special segment of K&A Football. This week we're going to be doing Call It or Scrap It with a very special guest, avid Colts fan, avid
Yes, sir.
Anthony Richardson supporter, which is why we will be doing this special one. Daniel the Camel. He's been on the show before. He had a lot of special takes for his pick'em. How are you doing today, Daniel the Camel?
Pretty good. I literally just got this buzz cut, so feeling
I was gonna
pretty
say
good.
when all of a sudden I saw you pop up, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I just got it chopped off today. Feeling good. Ready to say why Anthony Richardson is going to make the Hall of Fame.
Let me say before. What made you decide to get the buzz cut?
I don't know. Just wanted to change. I buzzed my two friends, and I feel like I owe them a buzz back.
Fair enough.
Awful decision. All right, punishment for this year's Pick'em's Kadin is
That is absurd. I would not be doing that.
Y'all should do that.
All right,
Do that.
all right, clean shave, shiny head, the whole shebang.
That is absurd. I will not be taking part in that. All right, so Debbie, do you have this week's Call It or Scrap It question for us? Potentially.
I do
Here we go.
indeed. My bad. Sorry, I was a little behind here.
Debbie was totally ready to jump in here.
100%. All right, guys. For Call It or Scrap It segment this week, the question is, Anthony Richardson turns his throwing struggles into a skill and becomes an elite top 10 QB in the next 5 years. Call it or scrap it?
I think what we need to discuss here first before we really jump into this is what does turn his throwing struggles into a skill mean? Are we saying like he learns to throw, or he learns how to use his inability to throw into a strength?
No. I think that definitely was. That wouldn't be a skill. Well, I guess it could be a skill, but like a ability to throw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who wants to go first on this one? Daniel Campbell, I know you're a pretty avid Anthony Richardson guy, so.
I'm an Anthony Richardson supporter, man. I'm going to call it here. And this is why. Look, Anthony Richardson coming out of college, a freak athlete, only played 6 games last season, looked fantastic. Honestly, the second best rookie QB last year behind CJ Stroud. He can throw the deep ball. He has a great arm. He is very strong and athletic. It's just the accuracy and the decision making that worries me. With him throwing 3 picks last game, kind of got me disappointed, but I still have faith in him. I think that, you can improve your throwing, hopefully. So, yes, I do think he'll be an elite quarterback. I see Lamar Jackson in him. He's very athletic, and yeah, I think he will be a similar type player to Lamar Jackson if he can reach his potential.
Cool. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a really tough one. I think that the saving grace for me is that top 10 is a pretty broad strike. Like top 10 only means you have to be better than 2/3 of the league, So I think that's really the saving grace here. I am going to scrap this one. Actually, I don't think that he is going to be able to be a top 10 quarterback within the next couple of years here. I think that he'll be good. I think he'll be solid. I think that what we're going to see is a lot of teams learn how to defend against a running quarterback, because up until this point, we've only seen a handful of running quarterbacks. Obviously, Michael Vick being a very notable one, Cam Newton, and now Anthony Richardson are like the big names in terms of mobile quarterbacks. And we only get those every now and again. But now to have that Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson, I think teams are recognizing that this is kind of the future here, to have a mobile quarterback, and we're going to see teams figure out ways to take away their legs and force them to throw. Anthony Richardson is not a pocket passer by any means. We see that in his accuracy. He's not accurate at all. Lamar Jackson has worked on his accuracy, but even Lamar Jackson is not an accurate quarterback. Mm-hmm. He makes space with his legs, and then he launches the deep ball. Lamar Jackson isn't even that great of a passer himself. So I'm going to scrap this one. I think that while Anthony Richardson has the deep ball, that's the only thing he has. And that's just because he's got this cannon thrown on. He's not even accurate in that. It's just that if the ball's in the air for 60 yards, your guy's going to.
Honestly, that's fair. I think that throwing can be improved, but he definitely needs to work on his accuracy and his decision making. But I will say this: the Colts receiving core is mediocre at best.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pittman, I'm a Colts fan. Michael Pittman, so overrated. I drafted in my fantasy league. I don't know. So overrated. Alec Pierce, okay. So Jonathan Taylor, I will say, is a great back, but his receivers are just so and so. So that makes it that much tougher to succeed while throwing.
Yeah. So it's 1-1 right now. I guess I'll be the split broke. I'm actually going to call this one as well. I think that we kind of saw this out of Josh Allen when he first came to the NFL. He was a very, very raw passer. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He couldn't pass the ball at all. We also saw it out of Cam Newton. He was a very good passer when he came in, but he was very inaccurate kind of through his whole career, but he still found a way to have an MVP season. He found a way to be a pretty consensus top 10 quarterback throughout the prime of his career. Anthony Richardson has only played, I think, 18 games since he was in high school. He didn't play much in college, and obviously he didn't play much last season. So he's very not new to football, but he hasn't had a lot of games under his belt in the last couple of seasons. And I think as time goes on, he'll get more and more used to it, more and more better at throwing. I mean, he's an NFL quarterback. He should already be good at it, yes. But time will come and he will get better. He's under a great system. Me and Austin just talked about in the episode about how much coaching matters. He's under not Nick Sirianni. Whew, that would be bad. He's under Shane Steichen in Indianapolis, who Jalen Hurts' incredible season was with Shane Steichen as the offensive coordinator. Now that's his head coach. He's got a great organization in Indianapolis. And like Daniel the Camel was saying, they don't have a great receiving core. It'll get better with time. Yeah. He needs to still be able to lean on that rushing ability to keep defenses guessing, keep them honest, because he's not a pocket passer. He never will be. But if he can learn to pass, like you said, he has a great deep ball. But if he can hit that medium to intermediate stuff with his ability to run, I think he absolutely could be top 10. I think has potential to be an explosion to like a top 8, top 7 guy for sure. So I'm actually going to call it.
I think it's tough to say, like, obviously his decision making is not very good right now, but
yeah.
I mean, like you said, he only has played 18 games since high school? I mean, yeah, that's insane. Just give him time. Insane. Like you said, Josh Allen, was not good when he entered the league. I think just give him time, give him some more weapons. I think he'll work it out for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how Anthony Richardson does for these next couple of years for sure. Well, thank you, Daniel the Camel, for coming on. I really like your setup. You got a nice setup behind you, and Mike sounds good. So, yeah, what was Debbie yelling at me for, Austin?
So first off, thank you guys so much for watching. Daniel the Camel, thank you so much for coming on. But like I had mentioned, kind of as a joke in passing, we are hearing you guys out for input on what we should do for the punishment on the pick'ems this year.
Buzz cut will not be an option.
We'll see what the people want. So if you guys want to throw out some options, you can DM us on Instagram, KA_football. Send us some options, some things that you think would be funny as a punishment. We'll throw out a poll of some of the best options so you guys can vote, and the winner is what we'll probably end up doing unless it's something stupid. So we're looking forward to that. Toss your stuff down there. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Daniel the Camel, thank you once more for coming on, and we will see you guys next week for week 3.